Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd never sugarcoats it. Does he tell it straight? You bet. Does he deliver with a sense of humor? Always.
I always start my Sunday mornings off listening to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. It has tons of information, and he has such a great sense of humor.
My friends and I always tune in to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Hold on tight. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting from the Black Diamond Mothership in the middle of the mitten. Pure Michigan, Craig Russell. Pure green, pure field, nutrient-filled. The sky is blue, the water is wet, and I love you. How you doing, Craig?
That didn't even rhyme, and that's okay.
How about this? The water is wet, the sky is blue, and I love you.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know how it is where you are in the world, because, of course, we broadcast all across the world on podcasts and all across these great United States of weed that we're in. But in Michigan, it is summer, and it is really summer. Man, it was hot last week. And it's warm now. It is summer. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, and if you're just tuned in for the first time, I'm attorney Todd L. Levitt, criminal defense attorney out of the Mitten State, which is located we're just south of the Canadian border up to the great north there, the state of Michigan. We're a mitten and a peninsula, and the great state of Superior is across the Mackinac Bridge.
That's also another place that you practice law, too. If you need to get a hold of a lawyer for any reason, Todd's the man.
You solicit for my services. I don't.
I'm just saying. 989-772-6000. Todd Levitt.
We now have, I want to welcome all of our podcast downloaders in India.
India.
Holy moly. We don't know who they are. We don't have any. We just know that somebody in India is listening to our show. China, Indonesia,
wow,
Germany.
That's crazy.
Sweden. Hello to our friends in Sweden. United Kingdom, Portugal for the first time. Israel.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool, huh? And of course, Canada. I love Canada. I love Canadian hockey. I love hockey, period.
I do too.
But
big hockey,
Canadians.
I
have a lot of family in Toronto.
Sure, okay.
And of course, the great United States of America. We love America.
Also known as the United States of weed.
Yeah, and we have the most downloads in the United States.
Yeah.
From California.
Yep, California's a big place. And
Michigan leads the way, but on Libsyn, so Libsyn app, Podbean, SoundCloud, iTunes, Android
Google
app,
Play, all
Spotify.
Yep,
you can catch the show, and be sure to tell your friends about the show. We're trying to get to 1,000 downloads a week here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Hey, we have a huge show.
Big show.
No?
I
got some complaints.
Okay.
Some major complaints.
All right.
And a lot to get to.
Okay.
First off, last week.
Right.
Again, Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, it was special.
To all those who have fallen, who have sacrificed so much for us to be here today.
Mm-hmm. Our freedoms.
I love our vets. Yep. Love the families who have sacrificed and still do.
Yep.
But the next day on Monday, that day,
Memorial Day,
we went to the Big M Trail.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. How did that go? How was that training?
Well, it's a 33-mile loop in the Manistee Forest.
Okay.
Elevation, thousands of feet of climbing.
Right.
Big Hair.
Yep.
CT, Chris Taylor.
Okay.
Malpe, Kyle.
So in other words,
Jurin was there.
The usual suspects.
The usual suspects.
Okay, there you go.
And Cuffy.
Okay.
Wheeler was there.
All right.
Kidder. Everybody was there.
Okay.
And it started off just fine.
All right.
But right when we started biking, okay, we're ascending.
All right.
We're going up.
Okay.
You're pedaling up.
Sure.
Up. I was in the back with big hair, and there was a lady behind us with her boyfriend or husband.
Okay.
Coming in the opposite direction is some yin-yang going at a high rate of speed. He already passed the front group that we were with.
Right.
He comes to big hair, almost clips big hair, which he would have fell down a ravine. I get out of the way just in time, and the young lady behind me, he goes smack dab straight into her. I mean, at 10, 12 miles an hour.
Wow.
Takes her off her bike. She's okay. Her bike was damaged. We were already a mile in of the 33-mile loop, so she had to turn back.
Okay, well, that sucks.
My point is, it's very rare that you see somebody who's out there enjoying the outdoors that doesn't respect, appreciate, and show common courtesy. This was one of the first times I can remember, and I'm 53, and I've biked tens of thousands of miles.
Sure.
20, 30, 40,000 over the decades total, that this has ever happened. And it's just really shocking. So we whatever, misery, he's just, whoever this guy is, whatever. We continue to bike on.
Okay.
We go for 27 miles.
All right.
One of the members of our group, and again, I'm not going to say his name for privacy reasons, but his heart rate was way too high.
Okay.
And he stopped.
That's not good.
We kept going, but we never leave a biker behind. As a group, we always stick together.
Sure.
That's
common sense.
We went a few 50 yards up.
Sure.
Then we all start turning back. And then our dear friend was having vision problems, headache problems, and if he's listening, he does listen to the show. We love you. He's fine.
Okay.
But we had to get him out of there.
All right.
So somebody went, Kyle went and headed off trail, bushwhacked it, got his Jeep. We took him to a fire road.
Okay.
In case there's fire,
Right.
Log fire. What do they call those? Fire trails?
Fire trails, yeah.
And we got him to the hospital. So there was issues with medical issues. I'm not going to specify just out of privacy reasons, but we wish him well.
Yeah,
and we love him.
No kidding.
So we continue to go on.
All right.
And all of us, we were there with him for an hour. And unbeknownst to us, we're in the 97-degree heat.
Oh,
we already went 27 miles. We were drinking our water without realizing why we were taking care of our friend. And most of us were dehydrated to the point where we almost had to call somebody.
Right.
It was a pretty dangerous day, but I don't know why I'm telling you this story. It was the story. The story is this, that we have to look out for one another.
Yeah.
And when you are out there in the bush and you're out there hunting or fishing or sledding or hiking, one, do not do it alone.
No.
Never. If you do, make sure you let someone know who you are. Have a GPS. We all had GPSs.
On our phones.
Point being is, if it wasn't for each one of us being together, it could have been a different outcome.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't think about what's going on in politics. You don't think about what's going on in the world or your family. I mean, you love your family always, but you're thinking about surviving.
Yeah.
And making sure that you're all there for one another. My buddy Ned, I was so dehydrated for the last 3 miles. My buddy Ned from St. John's. If anybody listens to the show from St. John's, Michigan, and you know my buddy Ned was pushing me up the hill. Wow. Like, I'm talking
pushing
hundreds of feet, climbing. He was biking, I was biking, he was pushing me. Chris Malpe, who owns Terry Cycle in Elma, he gave me his electrolytes, his last sip of water. So big kudos to Chris Malpe. Great shot, by the way, Terry Cycle.
Oh, yeah.
Elma, get out there. Brad Wheeler was there. Wheeler was helping out. Wheeler Photography. Check out Wheeler Photography. They're going to come on the show.
We've had Chris on the show before.
Chris has been on the show. Wheeler's coming on the show. They're all coming on the show.
Okay.
But on the way to the course, Big Hair was driving his Prius. And I got to tell you something.
Of course he was.
And he has a big truck, and I love Big Hair. He's one of my best friends.
Right.
He races for Levitt Racing, mountain bike racing. He drives that Prius like somebody who owns a Prius. I'm in my truck, my big Silverado. We're trying to get to the Manistee Forest.
Right.
Thank goodness there were passing lanes because I had to pass them. Look, there's the speed limit, and then there's below the speed limit.
And then Big Hair was going below that.
He was going way. I don't care how many miles per the gallon he was getting. Drive the speed limit, Big Hair. That's all I'm saying. But Big Hair, we love Big Hair.
Of course we do. We're giving him a hard time. But that's the thing, though. Big Hair, he drives that Prius that's how he gets that 160 miles to the gallon. He drives like 10 miles an hour.
But it just makes you, when you're with your friends and you're doing something together, you feel alive.
Yeah, makes you appreciate things.
It makes you appreciate things, and it's just the brotherhood.
Yeah.
Or sisterhood if you're, women, men. I think that more people should take those trips, camping trips. I think courts, I've said this for years, instead of putting people through counseling, random alcohol and drug testing, through all these programs, and there's a lot of great programs out there.
Right.
There's a lot of great sobriety court, recovery court, drug court. The men and women who run these, they give so much back. These programs, I'm thrilled. The judges,
they help people.
And they help people.
And they help people.
They're the best programs. And there's a lot of therapists out there who do a lot of good. But I've always said that if the court can set up a program and they can get doctor approval for certain individuals, and they should put individuals, not like through boot camp, which is good for some people,
right,
but through a health regimen. Get those endorphins in your brain moving.
Yep.
If I had to put someone on probation, if I was a judge, which I never will be because I don't want to run for judge, I would start a program where I would order people to go camping, rustic camping, not plugging in, no water, no electricity. You got to dig a 6-inch hole if you got to drop the kids off the pool. Rustic camping. Get out there and live. Instead of focusing.
I just got that.
I know, but okay, you did.
I just got
Get that. Drop the kids off the pool.
I just got that. Okay.
Take them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on your addiction all day, get out there and focus what it's like to survive.
Yep.
That's where I think recovery starts because, look, I don't want people to go in withdrawals. I'm not talking about taking people who have, who can't take medicine, who have to be under medical care.
No.
I'm talking about physical regimens where you swim, you walk. I would like to order people, if I'm a judge, to swim, to walk, to hike, if they're able to do so. If they can't, go hiking, rustic camping, go see pictured rocks, go see, the Rockies. Do something healthy for yourself, and then you'll remember what it was like to be alive and healthy before you became an addict. And look, I don't blame people who have addictions. There are individuals who are lost in addiction, and there are a lot of good people, their mothers, their fathers, their sons, their daughters, their uncles, their grandparents, their siblings, and they destroy families and tear them apart. But let's not forget, because I've been very close to individuals in my family who have been serious alcoholics, okay? There's a good person in there.
No, yeah, nobody starts off that way.
No, nobody.
Nobody starts off that way.
Yeah.
You don't come out addicted. You have to end up becoming addicted. Plus, when you go out and you camp, you learn things about yourself. You find out about things, not only how to take care of yourself, but you also find out what you're made of. If you can go out and you can camp on your own and you can take care of yourself in the wild, you learn about yourself. You learn, most people are much stronger and have much more going on than they realize. And I think when you go out and do things like that by yourself, and you go out and you fend for yourself, and you learn a lot of things about yourself. You learn about inner strength. You learn about the disciplines that you have. And those are important rules, important life lessons anybody can take advantage of. You don't have to be addicted. Anybody can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And again, don't rely upon anything that we're not recommending you do anything.
Oh, no.
Talk to a doctor.
Yes.
Talk to your loved ones. Do not go into the bush. Don't start bushwhacking with no water, no hydration.
Yep.
Make sure you have a Steri pen with you in case you run out of water. You can go purify some water somewhere. Make sure you have the proper clothes. The thing is, especially in 97-degree heat, you have to keep electrolytes in you, salt. You have to be prepared.
Yep.
So make sure you have the proper equipment and you know what you're doing, and do not do anything alone.
Agreed.
That's where people get in trouble.
Agreed.
Yeah. And make sure at least one of you knows what the heck you're doing.
And it would also help to have a telephone or possibly some kind of personal device on you so you can listen to the Todd Elliott Law Show so you can get this
That's
kind of good
right.
advice.
Hey,
good advice.
I know we have to go to break. We have a lot. We're blasting and blaring and turning and burning the Clash, and love them.
Yes.
But here's what we're going to be talking about when we come back from break.
Okay.
Rental car issues.
Ooh.
Craig Russell.
Yes.
Your friend rents a car.
Okay.
You drive that car.
Oh.
You didn't sign a rental agreement.
Okay.
You get pulled over. You have contraband.
Oh.
Question is, what's your expectation of privacy? There's the question under the Fourth Amendment. Does Craig Russell have an expectation of privacy just from occupying and operating a motor vehicle, a rental car that he didn't sign for and he didn't have permission to be in? You get pulled over. You got illegal drugs on you. What can and cannot happen? We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about something I came across that I had no idea exists. Federal requirements for dumping trash and waste into our oceans and waterways.
Really?
Yeah. What can you and cannot do?
All right.
My opinion, you shouldn't be able to do anything.
But you're going to find out what that is.
Come
back from break.
Why, we have to go to break?
We do have to go to break.
I'm ready to go camping.
I'm sorry.
Craig.
We'll take a break.
Come on.
Go camping into the break.
Come on.
Okay.
All right, bye.
London calling to the underworld. Come out of the cupboard, you boys and girls. London calling, now don't look to us. Phony Beatlemania has bitten the dust.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Coming back strong with who, Craig?
The Clash, London Calling. You know, first time I ever heard that song was when Friends went to London and they played that in the background. And I'm like, hey, I know that song. That's The Clash. What do you know about that?
Love The Clash.
I know you're a big fan of The Clash.
I just want to rock and roll, turn it, and burn it.
Top 5 group? Clash?
Clash?
Yeah.
Top 5
English rock band?
English rock band.
Along with the Kinks?
Oh, don't get me started. I love the Kinks.
I know you
Lola.
do. Kinks are an English rock band, too.
I haven't requested you play Lola for me in a while.
I know you. I'll have to do that.
How does this start off? I met her.
Met her in the blah, 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 blah.
Da, 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 and we drank champagne, and it tastes just like cherry cola. L-L-L-L-O. Oh, yeah, cola.
Okay.
She asked me to dance, and I da-da-da.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Hey, I got a question for you.
I have an answer for you.
A driver. You're a driver of a rented vehicle who is not an authorized driver under the rental agreement.
Okay.
Does that person have an expectation of privacy or not?
You set this up earlier. You said you rented a car and I'm driving it.
Okay, I rented the car, so now I'm conspiring with you, Craig.
Well,
I rented the car
and I'm driving it,
and I did not list you on the rental agreement.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now I get pulled over and I happen to have illegal contraband in the car. What is my expectation of privacy? I would say, initially, I don't have any, but I think I probably do. I think when I think about it, when you started to bring up, my initial reaction was, oh, I wouldn't have any privacy at all. But then I think about it, I don't think it matters who owns the car, or whose the car's name is under. I think in that car, I should have some kind of idea of privacy. I should have some expectation of privacy.
You are correct.
Really?
You are correct.
Wow, I'm starting to learn some stuff from you.
Yeah. So the case is Bird v. United States.
Okay.
And Bird was driving a rental vehicle when he was stopped by police officers for a possible traffic infraction.
Okay.
During the course of the traffic stop, Craig, the officers learned that Bird was not listed as an authorized driver in the rental agreement.
Okay.
Possibly a conversation took place and he said, listen, this is a rental car. I didn't rent it. I didn't sign it. I didn't do anything. This individual admitted that he had paraphernalia and other items in the vehicle.
Okay.
The officer said, hey, can I have permission to search the vehicle? So now the officer is asking,
right,
can I have permission to search the vehicle? So right away, as an attorney, the question is, well, does Bird have standing since he didn't rent it? Does he have legal standing to grant search of the vehicle? The answer is yes, of course he does.
I would say
that's not the issue.
Right.
But the officers went on to find drugs and other things that were illegal. And it was later determined, though, that Bird's friend rented the vehicle while Bird waited outside the parking lot of the rental facility.
Oh.
So maybe there's something going on here.
Okay.
And the friend, it was later determined in court, listed no additional drivers on a rental agreement, but the keys were placed in his hands regardless.
Okay.
The defense filed a motion to suppress the evidence found in the trunk of the rental vehicle. Well, here's this. Listen to this. The trial court, the court of jurisdiction, denied the motion, concluding that because this individual was not listed on a rental agreement, he lacked a reasonable expectation of privacy in a rental vehicle, and he could not challenge the search.
Well, that's crazy.
I'm not a judge.
Right.
I've been a defense attorney for 24 years, but when I started reading this case, I mean, first off, if you're in possession and dominion and control of a motor vehicle, no matter who gave it to you or how you obtained it, you still have a reasonable expectation of privacy.
Sure.
You're in control of that. Why would your Fourth Amendment rights be waived to begin with? I don't see it.
I don't either.
Right. So the trial court denied the motion, saying he had no expectation of privacy, and you cannot challenge the search. The United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit affirmed and said they agreed with the trial court.
Really?
That he had no expectation of privacy.
Why is that?
Well, it went up to the United States Supreme Court.
I bet it did.
And they finally disagreed and held that the fact that Bird was not an authorized driver on the rental agreement did not take away any reasonable expectation of privacy he otherwise would have had in the rental vehicle. So, and the court rejected what's called a per se rule that drivers who are not listed on rental agreements always lack an expectation of privacy in the automobile based on a rental company's lack of authorization alone. Meaning, a rental agreement does not usurp your constitutional rights to an expectation of privacy.
Right.
Here, so that's pretty interesting, isn't it?
It's very interesting. So now I have a couple of questions for you. Would it have made any difference if he did not have a legal driver's license to operate that vehicle? Does that change anything?
Well, if an officer pulls over a motor vehicle and they determine right away that a crime has been committed, that goes back to a few shows ago. They can do a warrantless search.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I would also remind the viewers and the listeners and the podcasters that vehicles, the United States Supreme Court has ruled over and over that vehicles are inherently mobile.
Correct.
A vehicle may be searched without a warrant, as we're talking about, if there's probable cause to believe that there's contraband in a vehicle. And because they want to make sure it doesn't get destroyed and it's in the public's best interest.
Right. That
you can search a vehicle without a warrant when they determine there's probable cause there. But here's my issue as a defense attorney.
Okay.
Our constitutional rights to privacy in a motor vehicle have been destroyed.
Sure.
Terry v. Ohio. There's all kinds of case law out there. Destroyed. Your constitutional rights to your home, your castle, your apartment, your residence are still firm. Case law has stood firm on behalf of residents. But in a motor vehicle, because as the court ruled, they move. They go from point A to point B. Contraband can be destroyed. Evidence can be destroyed. It's a moving vehicle. Your expectation of privacy and your constitutional rights have been just destroyed. I'm completely against that. And here's another thing. Miranda is not automatic. Everybody always, hey, Todd, I wasn't read my Miranda rights. Well, there's nothing in the law, this is Arizona v. Miranda, okay, that says that once you're stopped by an officer, you have to immediately be read your Miranda rights. When an officer pulls you over, more often than not, he or she is just doing an investigation.
Sure.
And you're volunteering the information. Now, you have a right to remain silent, and you can use that so as not to incriminate yourself, but there is no automatic right to Miranda.
Well, isn't the Miranda when you get arrested? If they want to arrest you, don't they have to, they read you your rights? It's not when they're just pulling you over doing an investigation.
Well, but if an officer just pulls you over because your license plate light is out.
Sure, okay.
And they walk up to the vehicle. The question is, should you be read your Miranda rights right then and there? What do you think my answer would be?
I don't know. I would say
absolutely yes. Here's why. Because under Miranda, and I don't have the case law in front of me, but I'm a defense attorney. Once you are in your state of mind, if you are in custody and not free to leave,
right?
You're
in the back.
That's
of the
when Miranda but that's when Miranda triggers. You have the right to remain silent.
Right.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. But here's my argument. When you first get pulled over, even if it's for a civil infraction, you're not free to leave. If you take off right away,
you're in big trouble.
You're going to be charged with all kinds of crimes.
Right.
So my as a defense attorney, I believe that when an officer first approaches the vehicle, other than your name and identification, I would like citizens to be told immediately that you have, by the way, other than your name and proof that you have a valid license and insurance, which is online now. You don't, in the state of Michigan, they can look it up.
Yeah, you don't even need to show it to them.
Right. But I would argue you should be told immediately at that point that, by the way, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you can say will be used against you in a court of law.
Or here's a better thing. Maybe shows like this and talking about topics like this will remind people of that fact. If you get pulled over and the officer says, what's your name and where are you going to, you can say, my name is Craig Russell, but I'm sorry, officer, under the law, I don't have to tell you anything more than that. Bam. If people know that ahead of time, now granted, that doesn't necessarily put you in the best light with most police officers, I would imagine. If you start, throwing your rights around right off the bat and you are not cooperative, that probably is not going to help your cause. More times than not, though, if you get pulled over and you haven't done anything wrong, even though it's okay to offer up information that might not necessarily hurt you down the road, if you haven't done anything wrong, you've got nothing to hide.
Good point. But look, the Constitution is there for a reason. There's state constitutions, there's the United States Constitution. Just because somebody wants to exercise their constitutional rights should not imply that they're guilty of anything.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it goes that way.
It does.
Now, the wording used when a person has read his or her Miranda warnings, they're also known as being Mirandized, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
So, And it has to be clear and direct. Like, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. That's just, who doesn't know that, right?
That's pretty basic.
So,
and that's only been around for about 50 years in this country. It was in the late 60s that the Miranda rights actually became part of the law. But that's a good point. This is now, of course, we're heard all over the world on podcasts. These are just United States. And this is good for all 50 United States, correct? Your constitutional rights.
Yeah, it's federal.
States. Now, what about if you're in a U.S. territory, Guam or something like that? Do they fall into the same kind of
if they're under federal jurisdiction in the United States and they're a territory? I would say absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
Sure,
but by the way, the question is, can you handcuff someone without arresting them? And when there's probable cause to place you under arrest, although the police are not obligated to place a suspect who is being arrested in the handcuffs or the other restraints, officers may do so if they feel it's necessary for their own protection.
Well,
you can be placed under arrest and not handcuffed.
Right, and you can be handcuffed and not placed under arrest.
Right, but so here's Miranda. Craig Russell, you get pulled over.
Right.
And you're in that rented car.
Okay.
All right.
What kind of car did you rent for me?
You've got a Prius. They got the big hair Prius.
Okay.
So you're in a rented vehicle.
So in other words, it's not a getaway car, is what you're saying.
Right. The officer, right. Not the way he drives.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's supposed to be coming on the show in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, big
I hope
Love you,
he had to
big
go to
hair.
the dentist for something.
Love you, big hair.
Yeah, we love big hair.
Yeah. Anyway, I get pulled over.
You get pulled
Prius.
over. You get pulled over.
Okay.
The officer approaches your window. You roll the window down. Make sure, by the way, folks, always keep your hands on the wheel where the officer can see them. We want to, look, we support law enforcement. We love law enforcement. Big shout out to all the guys at Cops and Donuts in Clare, Mount Pleasant, other locations.
All former cops.
And still are. Love
are.
Cops and Donuts. Make sure you check them out online. Find a location. They got great coffee, great everything. There's a plug for Cops and Donuts. Love it. But you get pulled over, okay, and the officer approaches the vehicle.
Sure.
And then he determines, one, he can smell alcohol. He notices your eyes are glossy and your speech is slurred. Now he's asking you to step out of the vehicle.
Right.
As you do your stumbling. It's obvious that, you may be intoxicated. But before you step out of the vehicle, let me back up. You present the officer with identification, driver's license.
Driver's license.
She goes back and runs your record.
Okay.
Sees that you're, however old you are, Craig Russell, 50-something, right?
48.
You're 48. That's right. I'm the old guy, 53.
Right.
You've never been in trouble before. You're 48. You have no criminal history.
Right.
Maybe a speeding ticket years ago. The points are off your record. So now the officer realizes with no criminal history, maybe all she has is just somebody who's operating while intoxicated.
Okay.
Or visibly impaired.
Right.
So the investigation continues. Then she says, step out of the vehicle. You stumble. You go through sobriety test. I'm placing you under arrest, Mr. Russell, for operating while intoxicated.
Okay.
At that point right there, she just told you, I'm placing you under arrest.
Now she needs to read you your Miranda rights.
Well, hold on. It didn't happen yet.
Okay.
Now you're walking back to the vehicle and you're sitting in the back of the squad car. And for whatever reason, you say, by the way, officer, you just volunteer this information. By the way, the officer says to you, let me back up.
Okay.
Mr. Russell, is there anything else that you want to tell me? Did you see what I just said? She's asking you the question.
Right.
Is there anything else you want to tell me?
You would say no.
You say, I have a couple pounds of illegal drugs in a locker, blah, blah, blah. Based on information, a warrant is obtained, searched, and now aside from the drinking and driving charge, you're not hit with all these felonies. I would file a motion to suppress that, one, because at the time you were placed in custody under arrest, you were never told you had a right to remain silent. The officer, after you were placed under arrest without reading your rights, started questioning you. Is there anything else you want to tell me? With a question mark at the end, explanation.
Right.
And you just volunteer the information. But that's a Miranda violation as far as I'm concerned. And I would file a motion to suppress that statement. If it's the fruit of the poisonous tree, the statement doesn't come in, the search warrant doesn't exist, and the charges have to be dropped. That's the law. And I am the law. Attorney Todd 11, right here on the Todd 11 Law Show, broadcasting across the universe. Not only the state of Michigan, Craig Russell.
And not only the country, but the entire universe.
No, we are. This show is everywhere. Check us out on podcasts. Tell your friends about us.
We have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to find out about boating and hazardous material coming out of your boat.
You do not want to know what comes out of these ships and boats and shipping lanes.
And you're going to talk.
I'll never urinate off my back deck again.
That's good to know.
Because it goes in the water system.
I know.
All right, take us out.
out of the cupboard, you boys and girls. London calling, now don't look to us. Phony Beatlemania has bitten the dust.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Talking about the law.
Speaking of the law,
Yeah?
I have a sort of an announcement to make.
Okay.
I'm sort of curious as to what the response would be to a cannabis seminar
Okay.
organized by yours truly,
All right.
hosted by yours truly,
Okay.
on behalf of an attorney who used to practice cannabis law in Colorado and is now one of the top cannabis lawyers in the state of Michigan, who wants to put on a seminar and help individuals fill out the application to apply for a license under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act.
Yeah.
To hire an attorney to help fill out an application to obtain one of these licenses
Expensive.
is going to cost you $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000.
I didn't realize
This
it was that
individual
much.
contacted me. She's a friend.
Okay.
And said, Todd, I know that you have a show, have a podcast, and you've put on seminars in the past.
Yep.
Would you help me sponsor, organize, and conduct this seminar where I'm going to help individuals fill out these applications? So I'd like to know the response from our listeners.
Okay.
Send me an email, Todd Levitt Law Show, Todd, Levitt, Levitt Law Show at gmail.com. Would you be interested in filling out an application to submit to the state of Michigan to obtain a license? I would first qualify that with, if you're going to do that and attend the seminar, which we don't have a date for, sometime in July, you first need to approach a township and see if you can get them to opt into the Facilities Licensing Act
Right.
to obtain a permit. You don't want to come, you can't just apply. I don't want to go over it, so we've already talked about this. You can't just fill out an application, send it to the state of Michigan, and expect to get granted one of those 5 covenant cannabis licenses: transportation, testing, dispensing, processing, growing.
Right.
You have to have a township that has an ordinance that has adopted the state law
That
and
allow
has
you to
given
do
you
it.
specific permission.
Yep.
So if you or someone you know can pass the test and you already have permission, or there's a township that will give you permission, and you would like to hire an attorney, you don't have the funds to hire an attorney, this individual, we will organize a seminar and you will learn and be shown how to do that complete application process in one day.
And it'll save you tens of thousands.
It'll still
of
be
dollars.
expensive.
Yeah.
It'll still be anywhere between $4,000 to $5,000 to do this.
But that's not
Okay.
30,000.
Exactly.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So I'd like to
deal.
know the feedback, because
Okay.
I said to this attorney, I want to make sure if you're charging people that kind of money that they're receiving a benefit.
And that they're serious.
And they're
Not
very
just
serious.
Any joker off the street.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to be that much. I'm just saying.
Right,
It could be a couple thousand.
It could be.
More than likely, it's going to be a couple $1,000s.
It could be. And here's the other thing too.
I'm on fire today.
Yeah, you are.
Fired up.
Can I use an analogy?
Whatever you want. You're Craig Russell.
Yes, I am.
Co-host.
Last I checked.
Looking good.
All right, here I'm going to use this analogy.
Big shout out to Biker Bob.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say you want to sell paint, and in your township, XYZ township, they don't allow you to sell paint there. So you're not going to go out and get a machine to help you can paint if you can't sell paint there. So it's the same deal with.
I like your paint. I used to paint.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I saw you have this pamphlet about boating and about things you can dump off into a lake or river or stream off your boat and things you can't.
I was at the Secretary of State.
Okay.
Because I specialize, amongst other things, in driver's license restoration all over the state of Michigan.
And
I was reading this pamphlet.
And everybody's got to know something. Michigan is different than most states because Michigan has the Secretary of State. There's a couple of other states that use the Secretary of State for things like driver's licenses, fishing license, hunting license. A lot of licensing goes through the Secretary of State. Most other states don't have this, but Michigan is unique in that respect. That's why you were in the Secretary of State's office, because driver's license restoration, that's a big part of what they do. But you saw this pamphlet, A Boater's Guide to Federal Requirements for Recreational Boats.
It really, you always hear how there's too much plastic in the oceans.
Sure.
And we love our oceans. We love our Great Lakes. There's way too much plastic. But there is a federal act to prevent pollution from ships. And they place limitations on the discharge of garbage from vessels. I mean, it is absolutely unequivocally illegal to dump plastic trash anywhere in the ocean navigable waters of the United States.
Okay.
It is also illegal to discharge garbage in the navigable waters of the United States, including the inland waters and anywhere in the Great Lakes. And we are the Great Lakes state.
Right.
But the discharge of other types of garbage is permitted outside of specific distances offshore determined by the nature of the garbage. So
Really?
is this disgusting? Listen, this is federal law. I'm not making this up. These are the rules. So But state and local laws may place further restrictions on the disposal of garbages. You ready for this? Plastic includes synthetic ropes, fishing nets, and plastic bags. Can you discharge it or not?
I would say no.
Prohibited in all areas.
Okay.
How about this? Ground food waste, paper, rags, glass, etc.
I would say yes.
Prohibited less than 3 miles from nearest land.
Okay.
Why the heck would you be allowed in navigable waters of the United States, or outside? Why would we want somebody to discharge paper, rags, glass, etc. 3 miles from our shoreland?
Well, let's put it this way. Let's say, and this is something.
I wonder what the cruise ships are doing.
Well, here's something you need to know. First place, let's use Lake Michigan for an example. And if you're not from Michigan, a lot of people don't understand. Just because it's called Lake Michigan, it isn't like a lake you can see across. It's basically like an ocean. It's 30, 40, 50 miles wide. I used to work in reservations of a hotel in the northern part of the state, and a lady was coming from New York City, and she was like, now I want a lakeside room. I want to look at the lake. She goes, now, can you see across this lake? And I'm like, no, ma'am, you can't see across the lake. The lake is like the ocean. No, a lot of people who've never been here don't know that. But if you're out 30 miles in the middle of Lake Michigan and you drop off food waste or glass, those things are biodegradable. They will end up sinking to the bottom of the ocean, and they'll either be food for fish or they'll degrade. And so you don't want it close enough to the shore.
I love to fish. I love to fish.
But something
I don't want to catch any fish and then eat the fish and then find out in its stomach that there was some kind of glass, or not that it would live, or paper. But here, how about this? Food waste, again, paper, rags, glass, metal bottles, crockery, or similar refuge.
Okay.
Prohibited less than 12 miles from nearest land.
Okay. Because that stuff doesn't biodegrade and it'll wash up on shore at some point. If you're 30, 40 miles out,
Craig,
it's going to go right to the bottom of the lake, and you're never going to be able to see it.
I'm not a tree hugger here, but
I understand.
I love the oceans and the Great Lakes and the waterways. Floating, dunnage, lining, and packaging materials. Prohibited, ready for this? Less than 25 miles from nearest land.
Sure.
So, folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the type of garbage and where it can or cannot be discharged in our oceans and Great Lakes. And there's an act to prevent pollution from ships, and this act places limitations on the discharge of garbage from these vessels. It's illegal in most cases, but hold on, Craig.
Okay.
Recreational boats are required by law with installed toilet facilities. They must have an operable marine sanitation device, an MSD, on board. Vessels 65 feet and under, I have like a kayak, they may use a type 1, 2, or 3 MSD. So I'm not going to get into all those different devices, but the discharge of treated sewage is allowed within 3 nautical miles of shore, except in designated no discharge zones.
Sure, so probably smaller inland lakes.
You want to know what a no discharge zone is?
What is that?
It's a body of water where the discharge of treated or untreated sewage is prohibited, obviously.
Right.
When operating a vessel in a no discharge zone, the operator must secure the device in a manner that prevents any discharge. So there are some acceptable methods of padlocking, overboard discharge valves, and they have to be in closed positioning. I'm not going to get into all that. The whole point of this was I was just disgusted that people can just go on our beautiful oceans and just start discharging glass and metals and papers. It's disgusting.
Well, it's, you know what, it'd be interesting to find out what other countries are like this, because I can think of some countries that probably are even stricter than these laws, like maybe Canada. Yet you could also think of other countries who maybe don't have any laws like this at all. You could just discharge something 50 feet off the shore and it doesn't even really matter. So at least we're at least starting, because look how I mentioned how long it took them to get to this point.
Federal Water Pollution Control Act.
Which, does it say what year? When it was enacted?
What's that?
Does it say when it was enacted?
Good question. It does not right off bat. But
okay. Let's say it was 1971. So that means up until 1971, people could just dump stuff wherever they wanted. I mean, at least we're trying, and we're making some kind of an effort to not do this as close to shore as possible, and to do this farther out on shores, especially in lakes and waterways and oceans and things like that. But I would be interested to see what other countries are, because I bet you some countries don't have any regulations whatsoever.
I got a question for you.
I have an answer for
you. You ever pee in a pool?
I have.
I used to be a lifeguard.
Okay.
How can you pee? Craig, why would you pee in a pool?
Come on, man.
Oh, come on.
You know what I'm doing?
You're being honest.
I'm just being honest.
Can you not be honest, though? Because I just got grossed out.
95% of people say they don't pee in the pool, and the other 5 don't lie.
All right, hold on.
I'm just
Look,
telling you.
I want to tell you something. First of all, when I was a lifeguard, we treated it with bromine. I had to backwash it every day. I mean, I had to make sure it was clean. I tested it and whatnot. I was a lifeguard at a lake and at a physical pool. Lake is different. But let me tell you something. If you poop in a pool, you got to shut that sucker down.
Pooping in a pool is a completely different story.
What was it? Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
It was Caddyshack.
No, it wasn't.
Remember Caddyshack?
Oh, it was Caddyshack.
Caddyshack where it wasn't really poop. It was a Baby Ruth candy bar.
That was me as a lifeguard. Get the heck out of the pool.
Hey, we got to take a break.
You know what really used to pee me off about being a lifeguard? Here's a 30-year complaint.
Okay, we used to pee you off about being a lifeguard.
Where parents would bring their kids to the beach, and I would sit up there on my chair with my whistle and whatnot.
Yeah.
They would bring their kids to the beach and expect that I, as a lifeguard, was their babysitter for their kids who could not swim. To all those parents out there who did this way back in the day, what the heck is wrong with you? If you bring your kid to the beach or your kid's friends, you're responsible. Not I, Attorney Todd Levitt, back then, yours truly, as Joe Lifeguard. Okay?
Did you used to wear the white stuff on your nose?
I did.
And the sunglasses?
No, but I had a whistle, and I would sit there and twirl my whistle. But I was a lifeguard at Kensington Metro Park, one of the Metro Parks.
One of the Metro Parks in Detroit.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So,
no, in Milford.
In Milford, okay.
Yeah.
We've got to take a break.
I'm just saying,
I know you're
watch your kids.
I know.
Same thing at malls. When our kids were little, mine are grown. Why would you ever, as a parent, allow your kids to walk behind you? Do you agree with me? If you're at a mall and you got little kids, let them walk in front of you. Whenever I see parents with kids and are walking behind their parents, I'm like, what the heck?
They're not paying attention.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm all over the place.
I know you are. We got
more complaints after the break on the Todd 11 Law Show.
Boys and girls, London calling. Now don't look to us. Phony Beatlemania is bitten the dust.
Welcome back to the Law Show, the Todd 11 Law Show, broadcasting on Sunday mornings, by the way, folks.
Yes.
If you're listening on podcast, this is a radio show.
That's right.
And we upload it on the podcast.
Yep.
Where are we on, Craig?
On 98.5 UPS and Rock 105 and 95.5. We just rock.
We take the version of the show and we upload it for the listeners all over the world.
Not just the country. I mean, you're talking Ohio and Indiana and Iowa and South Dakota and California and Oregon and Texas, and New York, Michigan, all over the country.
Dakotas.
But all over the world. Canada, Venezuela, Israel.
Question for you.
Answer for you.
What do you think the response would be to a seminar conducted by one of the top cannabis lawyers in the country, who used to work in Colorado, now works in Michigan, who will assist and walk through the application process to apply for one of the 5 covenant licenses in the state of Michigan under the Michigan Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act? Do you think there's a demand for that out there? And I'm an attorney, and I've done a lot of work in this area as far as consulting with townships, drafting ordinances to get them to opt in, to advocate for them to adopt the state law so they can open up dispensaries in their local communities. My question is, what do you think about that? I think it's going to be a great, great opportunity for a lot of people out there to save some money, because hiring a lawyer will cost $10,000, $20,000, $30,000.
Right.
This would probably cost, I'm just saying, a couple $1,000s. You'll have the top lawyer, not myself, but someone who I'm not going to mention, walk you through the whole application process.
A fraction of the cost of what it would cost to do.
Fraction of the cost. Let us know, folks. Let us know.
And let's not kid ourselves. What's going to be on the ballot in November in the state of Michigan? Will marijuana be recreational?
Absolutely.
And when it passes, those licenses are going to be 10 times more coveted and 10 times more valuable, because they will be the first ones to jump in to be able to do actual.
This upcoming seminar that may more than likely will take place in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, of all places, because that's where we're at
middle
right here.
Of the state, makes
middle
sense.
of the mitten, yeah.
Yep.
There'll be no guarantee, just because you're taught how to fill out the application process to obtain a license, that the state will grant you a license.
Right.
There's a lot of other factors involved, which there's going to be a seminar in the morning, and then that will talk about all the qualifications and what you should have done and should do.
and then there's going to be the application process in the afternoon. You could attend the first part of the seminar without attending the other seminar.
And here's the other part of this all, too.
It's going to be great. And stay tuned on, wait 1 second.
Okay.
Stay tuned to my website, centralmichiganlawyer.com. I'll have it listed if it takes place, or the show. Stay tuned to the show.
Sure.
But I'll also post it on centralmichiganlawyer.com.
And that's how they can get a hold of you. And that's how people can get a hold of you online. If
for representation.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And if you want to call, it's 989-772-6000.
Other than doing a lot of drunk driving cases right now, I have a number of, unfortunately, impaired operating motor vehicle and operating some side-by-sides that took place a week ago.
Sure.
Here's a question for you, Craig Russell.
Well, now, hold on. Before you
What?
get to that question, I got to tell you.
I'm fired up, brother.
Because here's the thing
Fire
about
up chips.
the seminar.
Yeah.
The seminar you got to know about. It would be a $30,000 mistake if you hire a lawyer to fill out all the paperwork and you find out you don't qualify for a license. Why not spend $1,500, find that out, or $2,000, find that out ahead of time before you go through all of that to kind of have a good, because this is a really uncharted territory in this state. It's uncharted territory in a lot of places.
There's going to be a seminar in the morning to discuss whether or not you're eligible, what the laws are. But here's what I'm saying to the listeners. If you're listening to the show,
yes,
and you've wanted to obtain a license, open up a dispensary, or processing center, or transportation in the state of Michigan, you first have to have a township or a local community,
right,
whereby the council, the board, they have agreed to adopt an ordinance that complies with the state law and give you specific permission. Because when you apply through the state of Michigan and you submit your application, you also have to have a letter from the local community and a copy of the ordinance that says, yes, we comply, we opted in, and yes, we're giving Craig Russell permission. So now you can attend the seminar and get the application process filled out and save yourself thousands and thousands of dollars from a lawyer who is the best of the best.
And you got to know that stuff ahead of time. You got to find out if your township or your community.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just call.
Yeah,
but you don't have to live in that community. You could live in the far corners of the Upper Peninsula and get a license somewhere else in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
But here's what's really annoying to me.
Okay.
The suburbs of Detroit are still not opting in.
Yeah.
But look,
give them time.
I have a question for you.
Okay. Well, yeah. Now what's your question?
My question is this.
Okay.
If a person is operating a vehicle in a satisfactory manner. Okay. And they're pulled over because again, back to the license plate.
All right.
But upon pulling that person over, the officer determines that their eyes were glossy, their speech was slurred, and this is a potential operating while intoxicated criminal offense.
Okay.
The question is, and each state is different in this country, and each country is different.
Right.
But in the state of Michigan, folks, and a lot of the states are similar. And look it up. But in the state of Michigan, you can pull over for a tag or your license plate issue. The officer did not pull you over for speeding, erratic driving, reckless, careless driving. It had nothing to do with your driving.
Right.
Can you still be placed under arrest for operating while intoxicated and convicted of operating while visibly impaired?
Why not?
Well, did you hear what I said? Were your physical capabilities impaired to the extent that your operation of the vehicle was reckless or careless?
That's a good question. I would still have to say you could.
Don't you think that in order to be convicted of operating while visibly impaired, that your abilities to operate the vehicle were impaired to the extent where you were driving erratic? Well, here's the answer.
Okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, a police officer in Michigan, this was a case, did observe an individual who was pulled over for a plate violation.
All right.
Observed all the other factors, bloodshot eyes, smell of intoxicants, so on and so forth. The individual even admitted to drinking. The officer administered field sobriety test, which indicated to the officer that this individual was intoxicated, placed the individual under arrest for operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated under 257.625 parentheses 1. And it was reduced to a visibly impaired under Section 3 of that same law.
Okay.
The conviction was appealed to the circuit court. The circuit court said that it required testimony by a witness who actually observed this individual driving in an impaired manner. And because no such evidence was submitted to the jury, the circuit court vacated the conviction of the lower court.
See, now that's.
But hold on. The Court of Appeals disagreed with the circuit court and interpreted 257.6253 to require that a person's ability to operate the vehicle was visibly impaired, not proof that the person operating the vehicle operated in an impaired manner. So all the law requires in Michigan is that the officer proves that your physical ability was impaired, not your ability to operate the vehicle in an impaired manner. So you could be pulled over for
any reason.
Obstruction of view, had nothing to do with your driving, and then because your physical abilities are impaired after sobriety tests and observations, that will stand.
See, that's one of those things.
That makes sense?
It does make sense. I
don't know.
The reason I kept saying I still think you could get pulled over and be arrested by that or whatever was that's what some of the laws out there lack some common sense. And that's one of those ones that you said it. You said you're visibly impaired and you're swerving all over the road. If that's one thing, but if you're not, any of those things aren't happening. That's one of those laws that seems like it would be lack of common sense that you could still be arrested for it, even though you would not have that information.
Right. But if there's any officers listening to this, just for education for officers, and I'm not one to tell officers how to do their job, but I am talking about new laws and things that have come forth recently in the state of Michigan. Operating while visibly impaired is different than a violation under 257.6251A OUIL. That does require the prosecutor must show that a defendant's ability to operate a motor vehicle was substantially lessened. So under that subsection, yes, you have to show that the vehicle and the impairment was such that the individual could operate the vehicle properly. But under subsection 3 of 257.6253, no.
Okay.
So I just want to make that clear.
All right.
'Cause I know most people out there, no clue what I just said.
No, I know.
Maybe a few will.
But that's why there's you. That's why we need you, because you can explain that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Craig, what a show.
No kidding.
I am just turning and burning
On
and fired up. Man, what are you going to do today? I'm going to shred a single track. We got to train for the lumberjack coming up.
I don't think I'm going to do anything.
Too much energy.
You've got
expended.
it all biled up, man.
Dude.
I'm spent at this point. I need a nap.
I don't know, man. I'm jacked up.
I know you are.
I'm ready to go.
Yes, you are.
Because we got the Clash, man, coming and going on the show.
Coming up.
Can't I just do an hour of Todd's Rock Block? Just have everybody tune in. Come on.
I'm sorry you can't.
People love the music we play on the show.
I know, Todd, but no.
You think I could just talk for 24 hours straight? You think I can make that happen?
That I think you could do.
Never do it.
I think you could.
Dude, I would bottom out in a heart. Are you kidding me? I would crash.
I think the first 12 hours you could do.
Have you ever done a marathon on the radio like they do for fundraisers?
I have not. Thank goodness.
We'll start one right now. We just did an hour.
Okay.
What are we going to do the next 23 hours? What are we going to talk about in the next 23 hours? Right here, Craig Russell, The Hustle, Todd L. Levitt, The Law. Big shout out to, by the way, to my cousin AZ.
Oh, okay.
And
AZ.
Piz Dog.
All right, and Piz Dog.
Piz Dog.
Piz Dog's the man.
O'Shea, Jax,
Yep.
G Money. They all listen to the show. They're my family. I love them.
Show's over, man. We got to go.
Come on.
I know.
Listeners
sorry.
don't want us to go.
We got to go.
Check us out on podcast.
There you go. Libsyn, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play,
Spotify.
all of them.
Download it. And
That's
let
right.
us know what you think of that seminar.
That's right.
If that's something you'd be interested in attending.
ToddLevittLawShow@gmail.com.
Yep, you got it, baby.
There you go. Show's over.
Craig, let's go. I'm
See you.
not just a litigator, I'm an advocator. Take us out the Clash.
The ice age is coming, the sun's zooming in, engines stop running, the wheat is collected, a nuclear arrow, but I have no fear, 'cause London is drowning, I live by the
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Mallywell Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, Mackinac Properties, and Northern Michigan Vacation Rentals, buying, selling, and renting properties in the Straits of Mackinac region since 1998. Harrison Power Sports, Central Michigan's fastest-growing full-line Arctic Cat dealer, and Dr. Robert Townsend and Denali Healthcare for your alternative healthcare needs.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.